Joining us now, another guy that plays to win, Alfredo Ortiz. Alfredo was the president and CEO of the Job Creators Network. Alfredo, sorry we've been a little behind here. Great to have you with us. You're with John Fredericks and Pete Snyder, who's co-hosting for me today. Pete Snyder, a likely candidate for governor in Virginia in 2021, even though McAuliffe called me last night on my way here, Alfredo, Terry McAuliffe did, to tell me to tell Pete that he was going to beat him like a schoolboy drum.
We love underdogs. Terry McAuliffe's been overconfident in every single race he's ever been a part of. Now, look, I haven't committed to anything, but I love it. Hillary was supposed to win twice. He was supposed to win by like a dozen points against Ken. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. William & Mary is supposed to lose tonight. This is great.
3-touchdown underdog. Alfredo, you joined us here on Friday night Lights football coverage at 6:30 in the morning. It's great to have you, Alfredo. You're with John and Pete.
Yeah, thanks, John. Great to have you, have me, and I appreciate that. It kind of sounds like you guys are having a ton of fun there, though.
Well, I did have to sober up from last evening, so that I'm trying to get through that.
And Riggleman hasn't even brought over the whiskey that
you liquored me up last night, and I had to go to bed. But Alfredo, I want to talk about the Trump economy. I tell you what, I was seeing this on the air yesterday. That's why I couldn't wait to get you on today. The nonsense I have to deal with, Alfredo, on a daily basis of people on Fox News, CNN, wherever they are, telling me how this economy is about to crash, how everything is going to be black and dark, etc., and talking about inverted curves or yield curves or something. Meantime, we just had another jobs report that's going to be coming out today. ADP said, again, we had a record month in job growth. This economy is booming, and you just got all these people on these TV networks telling us it's going to crash. What is up with this?
Yeah, well, John, the reality is that things are fantastic, and they continue to be great, driven by the Trump administration and the policies of lower taxes and a better regulatory environment. I mean, that's the bottom line. But listen, these are inconvenient truths that, excuse me, I'm also trying to get over a cold here, John, so I apologize. But these are inconvenient truths that the Democrats just don't want to bring up because they can't run against these truths. If they do, they'll lose. And they know that, especially the presidential candidates in 2020, right? And so they don't want to talk about incredible job numbers. For example, a new data revision just made, wages grew by 5.6%. 5.6% in 2018. That's rising quicker than was originally thought and rising 50% faster than they did under President Obama. So all the stuff about, the minimum wage fight and, the fight for 15, I mean, we have not seen this kind of growth in a tremendously long time. But again, these are truths that the left just doesn't want to have made public, frankly, or talk about because they just don't know what to do with it.
Well, I mean, if you take Labor Day, right? We're getting out of the Labor Day weekend. Today is Friday, so it's kind of still Labor Day week. And you would have thought on Labor Day week, the whole Democratic narrative was people are working, but they're working 5 jobs. They have no money. We need a minimum wage increase to 15 or 25, or I think it was somebody that said $50 an hour. And yet, as you said, wages up in the Trump economy 5.6% in 2018. I haven't seen that growth in 5 decades, Alfredo.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And, when they talk about these minimum wage jobs, what they fail to mention is these are entry-level wages for entry-level jobs. And when we say a Job Creators Network, to have a great job, you need a first job. And that's what many of these jobs really are there for, right? And people many times, within 6 months, they move well beyond, those entry-level wages because these are really kind of training wages. Now, what they always not talk about is the real issue, which is we've got a skills gap issue in this country, not a wage gap issue. What we need to do is be able to wrap our arms around those folks who really fall into these areas that are issues because, John, there are about 350,000 people in this country that are, let's say, 25 and over making the minimum wage, right? And probably have no fault of their own. They're in these jobs. They don't know how to get out. We need to give them the skills to do that. But I want to put perspective on that. Those 350,000 jobs is a workforce of about 88.5 million people. So we're talking about, 0.2%, 0.3%, something like that.
Right.
That's a manageable task that we can wrap our arms around and be able to solve. I mean, your guest, for example, running for governor. I mean, I'm sure he can come up with a plan that can put 20, 30,000 people that are in these entry level jobs, making entry level wages that maybe 25 and over, probably work with private corporations and businesses around the state of Virginia that can probably put some kind of a program together that can really bring these people out of these jobs and give them much higher wages. We have this thing that's called the fight for 50, not the fight for 15. It's kind of our counter narrative to the policies from the left, because we think if you give people the right skill set and you work with public enterprise, private and public together, we can get people into these jobs that pay $50,000 per year. And so I always tell to anybody who's listening, any Democrat out there who says, you know what, why don't you join us on our fight? Because you're so busy trying to raise floors when you should be raising ceilings.
I mean, exactly. And then what you get from the left, what you get from the Democrats now, is lies and nonsense about how this economy is not working. They can't dispute the numbers of the economy, Alfredo, Ortiz. So what they do is They say, well, the economy is not working for everybody. It's just working for the elite. And yet you look at the numbers and it shows the exact opposite. So they're just making this stuff up. And then, of course, we have the nonsense of the Green New Deal from AOC and her ilk, which her former chief of staff has already said has nothing to do with climate change, and it's all about changing the economy into a socialist type of a network. So I'm going to bring Pete in here for a minute. Pete Schneider with Alfredo Ortiz, president and CEO of the Job Creators Network. Go to jobcreatorsnetwork.com. And, Pete, we're talking about the Trump economy, wages up 5.6% in 2018, which just came out last night. This is a record number of wage increase, and yet the Democrats are saying people are working 3 jobs and this economy is not working for lower and middle income people.
Well, John, as you know, both the Democrats and the media writ large have been trying to talk down this economy. They don't want Donald Trump to be reelected. They'll do and say anything to make that a certainty. And they believe right now, hey, look, if the economy goes in the tank, even the slightest bit, the president won't get reelected. Mm-hmm. But if you look at what CNN did the other night, they had a 7-hour hysterical liberal/communist commercial trying to talk about how, one, we should ban meat. We ban straws. So I see that you have your Trump straw with you this morning. Johnny, I mean, this is going to go really big in Charlottesville. You can't find plastic straws anymore. So you give those things out like candy. People will love you here.
With me when I came
People will absolutely love you. But you have AOC's Green New Deal, which is going to, say that they're going to rip down every single structure, every building. So this house, every building on UVA campus, rip it down and rebuild it within 10 years, costing trillions of dollars. But imagine the carbon impact. If you want to go, down this whole road, what that will do and all that reconstruction will do, it's just going to be horrific for the U.S. economy, and every single major and minor Democratic candidate supports it.
Alfredo, 7-hour, basically climate change commercial that CNN did. What did you think of that?
John, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's when you look at how CNN just really bends over backwards supporting these candidates, it's ridiculous. I mean, obviously I love our environment. I think we need to do whatever we can for environment, but, why don't we talk about the real issues, right? Why doesn't CNN do a 7-hour, conversation about how good the economy is doing and why it's working and, how jobs are coming back and, frankly, why China is the enemy of the state that it is. Things like that. Well, because they can't, because obviously the Democratic candidates who basically own CNN now wouldn't like that.
I tell you what, it is that thing that they did, that 7-hour socialist orgy or whatever you want to call it on television. I mean, they're just becoming the clown news network. We're going to get another jobs report coming out, ADP, which kind of telegraphs what the jobs are. I think the economists that are also the naysayers that are talking about inverted yield curves or whatever nonsense they're spewing out now on Wall Street, we're forecasting about 120,000, 130,000 job growth. ADP which telegraphs the number, said according to their forecast it's going to be about 200,000. So again, the job numbers are going to exceed the forecasters by over 50%. How many months is this going to go on where the economists, so-called experts on Wall Street, say, well, job growth is slowing, and then you get the numbers in and it's bigger than ever? How long is this going to go on?
Well, and that's the thing, John. I mean, they'll keep on under forecasting on these things because, again, they're trying to talk down the economy. I think Pete said that correctly. The left and, the candidates on the left and the media on the left are literally, and quite frankly, this is vile and unpatriotic, but because they hate the president so much, they want to make sure that he doesn't win in 2020. So they want to literally talk our economy into a recession by saying that it is, right? You know that almost 70% of our economy is based on the consumer and consumer confidence. So they're trying to drive that consumer confidence down. But these robust job growth numbers just continue to come in month over month over month, and wage growth numbers continue to come in month over month over month. And and this is, remember, John, this is relatively speaking, what we're looking at is also when you put the context of the Federal Reserve and the interest rates, because that's coming up September 18th. A quarter point is about baked in at this point into our economy and into yield rates at this point. But we're pushing for at least a half point rate cut. We believe when you look at where the other countries are, just across the globe, many of those are in negative interest rate territories. So vis-a-vis that, we're still very high, which means a strong dollar, which makes it hard for us to compete internationally, of course. And so we got to get those rates down. We're hoping that Powell sees what he needs to do here and does deliver a half rate point, but at least a quarter is due to this economy right now.
So you're looking for, all of us are looking for, and so is the president, another quarter to a half point rate down adjustment from Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell and his board at the Fed. I don't think they're going to go a half, Alfredo, to be honest, but I think he is going to go at least a quarter. I mean, I think he sees the writing on the wall. If he goes down
it depends on the job number, right, John? I mean, and that's a little tough one, right? Because if the job number comes in below forecast, which I don't think, I think it's going to be more like 150, 160.
It's going to be over, yeah.
Right. I think what will happen there is that if it does become below forecast, that may actually drive Powell to do the half rate. But we know that at minimum it's got to be a quarter. Again, we would like to see that half rate point drop because. Back in December, he shouldn't have taken the quarter rate point that he did up.
Right. Well, that's really what drove the whole thing. But look, a quarter down is better than not going down at all or going up. So you have to balance this out. And I get when Powell first came in, and a lot of us were upset that he went up with rates. But I mean, his view is. We have to end quantitative easing. We're out of alignment. We have to go up. But the problem is, Alfredo, when the global economy, everyone else is at their interest rates across the globe, especially in Europe, is lower than ours. So the cost of money in the United States is higher than anywhere else. That's one of the other issues that nobody really talks about.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point. I mean, vis-a-vis, we're about 70 other countries out there that are well below where we are on our rates. And so, again, we got to look at it competitively across the board. And, the softness that we may be seeing a little bit related to some of the trade conversations, we need to take that into consideration as well. So, again, I think the half rate is something that we think could be justified if there is a little bit of softness in the job numbers, but I don't think there will be. But at minimum, he better deliver that quarter rate, cut, or we will be seeing softness, of course, on the stock market.
Alfredo Ortiz, thanks for being with us today. We really appreciate it. The President CEO of the Job Creators Network, and thank you for your time. We always enjoy your economic perspective. More information, go to thejobcreatorsnetwork.com. That's thejobcreatorsnetwork.com.